everyone, and welcome once again to The View from the Midwest. It's time for another St. Louis FC post-match edition as we talk about St. Louis FC as they took on the Swope Park Rangers. And obviously, for those of you who were there, St. Louis FC was victorious by the score of 3-0 in an absolutely fantastic game overall. A game that we probably saw more goals in this one game than we saw in probably a month's worth of home games last season to begin the year. St. Louis FC obviously started picking things up as this season went along, but the goals were hard to come by at the beginning of the year last season, and now in 2 games at home we've seen 3 goals. Obviously the 0-0 tie a couple weeks ago, actually I believe about 3 weeks ago, and then the unfortunate situation with the rain out due to the lightning in the area. And me and my wife, we stayed the whole time. Not that that really means anything, but I know that a lot of people stayed the whole time, and it would have been kind of an interesting, fun atmosphere. Obviously the crowd would have dwindled down to at least in half, I would say, if they had played that played that game. But it would have been an interesting atmosphere if that game against Vancouver had been played. For those of you who are unaware, obviously most of you are probably season ticket holders, but for those of you who are unaware, they are going to replay that Vancouver game on the 25th of May, and anybody who had tickets to that game obviously will be allowed in. Getting back to this game against the Swope Park Rangers, it started off pretty good. St. Louis FC, they kind of traded possession back and forth, but both teams seemed to be trying to get themselves off on the front foot, and St. Louis FC ended up getting that all-important first goal with Zuma getting a quick goal there in the 11th minute, I do believe. And that really kind of set St. Louis FC up for success for the rest of the game because speed-wise, Swope Park was really kind of giving them some fits along the wings and up the middles and up the channels. But St. Louis FC on the back line did just good enough to kind of weather that storm, and Mark Pace made a good couple saves in the first, I'd say, 15 minutes or so. And that really kind of settled the game down, and St. Louis FC was really kind of able to put their stamp on the game, get their system implemented into things, and really get a good solid 45 minutes going in that first half. They capped it off with a 32nd minute goal. Chad Bond with a great goal coming off the free kick. The free kick goal ended up being a big one there for St. Louis FC, putting them up 2-0 going into the break. Obviously, you still have to see out the half, but a good first 45 minutes of soccer for St. Louis FC to really kind of get themselves in control of a match and be able to just kind of see things out in the second half. And they didn't just see things out either. They were on the front foot again. They weren't just trying to knock the ball around and just play out the 45 minutes, which was good to see because we've seen that from this team in the past, where they'll get a lead and they try to sit on it, and that almost never works. It doesn't matter what sport you're playing, whether it's basketball, hockey. I mean, we've seen it many times with the Blues. Obviously, the Blues victorious today. So St. Louis, as a city, going 3 for 3. Cardinals with a walk-off win with Matt Carpenter hitting the home run. St. Louis FC with 3-0 win, and then the Blues beating the Stars to go up 3-2 in their series over Dallas. A very good game, very good day for St. Louis overall. But St. Louis FC, again, doing a great job of taking the game to Swope Park, because Swope Park is no slouch. I mean, they're not fantastic. Obviously, the standings don't necessarily bear out that they are a fantastic team, but if you're in the Sporting Kansas City Academy, you're not going to be much of a slouch either. There's a reason that they are at that level. They are trying to groom those players to potentially make a jump up to the MLS one day. So somebody along the line has seen enough in them to put them as a potential MLS player in the future. And given that fact, they're going to be difficult to play against. And St. Louis FC did a good job of containing them, just keeping with their speed well enough. And St. Louis FC, regardless of, whether or not they had an actual height advantage. They had an aerial advantage in this game. They were just skying up for every single head ball, and it seemed like the defenders and midfielders were just dominating the aerial battle for St. Louis FC, and that was a big key to keeping possession and getting balls away as well in those midfield battles, and St. Louis FC did an excellent job there. Irvin Herrera winning a little cheeky flick over the goalkeeper as he just kind of got the little touch into the goal for the third goal later in the game, and St. Louis FC was able to see it out. They were able to get some subs in, and in addition to playing so well, St. Louis FC, at least the way we've become accustomed to seeing them, now things could change if this lineup seems to produce more results, but this wasn't even necessarily your stereotypical, prototypical, whatever adverb you want to use, adjective you want to use, lineup that you're going to see. You didn't have Hardware in there. He came in as a substitute. David was put in late. He's usually an early substitute if he's not going to start. And just overall, and Cicerelli obviously didn't come on until late. He's a potential starter if Herrera picked up a knock. He seemed to kind of strain a muscle a little bit. Hopefully it was just kind of a cramp and they took him out for precautionary measures. But this isn't even necessarily the team that you saw tonight that's going to be playing next week or the week after that, and especially as we get towards the end of May when you're going to have potentially 2 games a week. So that's a good sign for St. Louis FC, in addition to playing so well just in and of itself, but the fact that this wasn't even necessarily the starting lineup that you're going to see week in, week out when they only have 1 game a week. So that bodes well for St. Louis FC going forward. Taking a quick look at the standings. Now, if I am wrong on these, don't fault me because I'm going by what USL's page says as of Saturday night. I assume that they're keeping live stats of this. So LA Galaxy is currently still in first place with 16 points at the record, 4-0-4. Vancouver is 4-0-2 with 14 points, and behind them St. Louis FC is in third place, 1 point ahead of Rio Grande Valley. Although they are going to be playing later, I do believe, or maybe it's Sunday that they are going to be playing. They have only played 6 games. St. Louis FC has now played 7. They are 3-2-2 with 11 points. But the big thing for them right now is that they're playing well. They have scored 9, given up 7. So when you're on the positive side of the goal ledger, good things are going to happen. And that goes for any league, regardless of level, regardless of country. Very few teams are going to be even mid-table if you have a negative goal differential. Just ask me, because Liverpool is kind of right there in the middle. They've gotten up into the upper echelon a little bit, but in the league, their goals have been few and far between, and they have given up quite a few as well. But St. Louis FC is doing a good job scoring, keeping them out, doing a great job here tonight. 3-0 was the final once again over Sporting Kansas City's farm team, essentially, Swope Park Rangers. A fantastic game, fantastic atmosphere. Once again, the Luligans do themselves proud, no matter how many people leave on the far side or even the west side. That section is always packed to the gills. So what did you think of the game? Obviously, it's a big win. Comment, rate, and subscribe. Let me know down in the comments section. Keep the discussion rolling. But until the next time, until the next game, I will see you then.